Hi, viola players. I'm going to be doing a teaching video for the song Allegretto. It's the first piece that we're going to be practicing both in orchestra and in our lessons. So Allegretto was written by Beethoven, and we're going to talk a little bit about him, a lot about him actually. And the first thing that I do whenever I look at a new piece is I look to see if there's any sharps or flats in the key signature. So when I look at the very beginning of the line, I see the numbers 2, 4. And that tells me that there are 2 beats, and those beats are quarter notes. So they're 1-beat notes, and there's 2 of them in every measure. But then I look in front of that, and there are no sharp signs, and there are no flat signs. So I know that I have to make my notes natural, so it usually affects my second fingers. So on the A string, I'm going to have a squishy 2. And on the D string, instead of an F sharp, I'm going to have a squishy 2. Now, if I do go lower, these are exceptions. They don't follow the rules. So 2 fingers on the G string is called B, and it's naturally natural. So when I plop it down in the spot that I feel comfortable with, the place that we learned how to play, that's going to be a natural note, so I don't have to change it at all. And if I do it on the C string, it's the same thing. That's going to be an E natural. Now, this one's a little bit tricky. There are a number of sharps that are marked in, but I'll stop and we'll talk about them. Okay? This one starts off with a plain old open A right at the very beginning, and you'll see it starts nice and loud and it gets quieter. It doesn't have to be an open A. For right now, I'm going to play it. It could be a 4th finger. It could be in 3rd position, but it's an A. So. Okay, now we're going to go all the way down onto the C string, and we're going to play 2 fingers, and like I said, naturally natural is going to be high 2. So, long, short, 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 Now you'll notice that there are 2 notes there. You can play the top notes or the bottom notes because it says D-I-V, and that means divise, but to us it sounds like the word divide. So that means between you and the person who would be sitting next to you, you would divide the part, so you don't have to play both notes at the same time. You'll also notice that there's a sharp sign in there in measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? If you sat on something sharp, it would make you jump up higher in the air. If you have a sharp sign on a note, it makes you want to play it higher pitched or higher sounding. So instead of playing 3 fingers here, we're going to push our finger away from our second finger. So it's going to be farther away. It's going to be coming towards our nose as we're holding it. It's going to be coming towards the bridge. It'll make the note sound higher. So if I started at, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would play high 2, and I'm going to play a stretchy 3 there. Okay? Now I'm going to start at 11 and continue. Stretchy 2. Here's your high 3 again on the C string. Now, I look at that note and I say, hey, that looks like a G string, an open G string. But it's got a sharp sign in front of it. And I just told you that when you see a sharp sign, you want it to sound higher. So how do I make it sound higher than a 0 and lower than a regular 1? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first finger and pull it backwards. So it's higher sounding than no fingers, but it's not as high sounding as a regular 1 where the tape would be. That's a little bit tricky, and that's in measure 13, but then it comes back again in measure 17. And it comes back again later. So I'm going to start at 11 again, open G. High 3. Backwards 1. High 2. High 3. 19 is 0. High 3, backwards 1, regular. 7, 2 beats. Now I'm going to stop right here for a second. You're going to look ahead and say, oh, look at all those fast notes. When you see notes that are connected with 2 lines instead of 1, it means they go twice as fast. That means that you could fit 4 of those kind of notes, 4 16th notes, into 1 beat of music. Okay? But the cool thing, violas, is you get the main melody here. Okay? Now, so I'm going to start at 29. It's going to be Terry T, or actually it's Terry Ta, Terry T T Ta. So fast, fast, long, fast, fast, short, short, long. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 29. 1 and 2. 35. Backwards 1. Open. 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Backwards 1. 0. High 3. High 3. Regular 3. All right, so now I'm only going to do one more section of this piece because if you look ahead to 75, 75 is very much the same as the beginning, but it's 1 octave higher. Now an octagon has 8 sides. An octopus has 8 tentacles or legs. So an octave in music means you have 8 notes. So it's 8 notes higher, but it's the same thing at 75. So I think you should be able to play that. Do your best. Okay, but it's very similar to measure 3. Okay, or measure 11, really. Now, but we do have something weird stuck here in the middle. So between 50 and 75. Okay, and what we have is a little thing that looks like a 7 or kind of a percent sign, and then a note that has a little curvy line, and then 2 notes that are connected. Now, what I'm going to tell you is all of those are exactly the same speed. So the rest at the beginning, the 1 note that's not attached, and the 2 notes that are attached each get half a beat. So the rest gets half a beat, the unattached note gets half of a beat, or the detached note gets half of a beat, and the 2 notes that are attached, they each get half of a beat. So we go half, how am I going to count it? Half, 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 and half equals 1 beat, 2 beats. And that's what we said at the very beginning. We've got 2 beats in every measure. But what we have to do is instead of going T, 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 the first one is a rest. So we're going to go sh, T, 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 sh, T, T, T. So if I did it, say, just on the G string with no fingers at all, sh, sh, okay. Now, this is a little tricky because it goes high to low. So I'm going to give you a hint. If it's difficult to do all 3 notes, certainly if you can do all 3 notes, do all 3 notes. If it is difficult to do all 3 notes, I would go sh, sh, play, sh, sh, play, sh, sh, play. So I would skip, we would wait for the rest, we would play a rest instead of playing the first note. We'd play the second note, and then we would have a rest for the third note. So it would sound like this. At 51, it would be sh, 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 and then I'm at 59. Okay, it's a little confusing. Maybe what you can do is you can take a pencil and you can cross out the notes that you're not going to play, and you're going to insert rests instead. Or what you could do is you could highlight the notes that you are going to play. So now for those of you who feel like you're confident enough that you can play this, don't talk.